Happy Halloween, by the way. Happy All Souls and All Saints Day for you pagans who go around glorifying the devil. I did not play the first Titanfall. Okay, alright, real quick. If I had had a channel when the first Titanfall came out, man, I would have been pissed and man, I would have made a video. Because the Xbox 360 sells versions that don't have hard drives, and Titanfall 1 required a hard drive, so... over and done with. 2 years ago, let's move on. Titanfall 2 runs at a 60 frames per second. In the campaign, it's very smooth. The multiplayer, it's a little stuttery here and there. But it has a gorgeous tutorial area. There's like water falling up, there's all these pink trees and this rock. It's very pretty, very well designed, and I'm looking at it thinking, now, if after that tutorial area, we have some of the stupidest, ugliest, most generic sci-fi locations, I'm gonna be so mad. The campaign's got some generic underground levels, then the campaign's got some like really nice. Let's talk about the campaign first. Titanfall 2 has, the story itself is dumb, it's terrible, it's impossible to follow. The only character of any note is the Titan, BT, whatever, 247, or whatever his name was. 2187-60421, whatever.
Now, prisoner 24601!
He was a very likable character, but the protagonist who deals with him really isn't. He barely talks. He's almost a silent protagonist. So it does this thing with the dialogue options, where you can hit up or down to answer to something BT said. You're like, oh, so it's like doing some dialogue circle, but not really, because then you can just do the other option too. So it's like asking two questions in whichever order you want. It's not a dialogue option. At which point, why are you making me press a button? Just have him say it and move on. So that was kind of dumb, that was kind of wasted. Starting off negative though. I shouldn't do that, because this is a very good game. Like I said, the story itself isn't anything special. In fact, the universe and like what's going on is so hard to follow. We're finding an arc or a core or a reactor or something, and then we're just fighting this bad guy. So we're a rebellion of some anti-IMCFM bad whatever acronym of an evil corporation that's attacking us. It's impossible to follow, and I didn't really care. But where the campaigns excels is in its level design. This campaign is extraordinarily well designed from a gameplay standpoint. These are the guys who made Modern Warfare 2, and it shows. It does the future wall running thing, but it uses it well with platforming and puzzles, and it's a very varied and very varied. And the Titans too, the Titans feel great. There's a slight bob. The point of view is higher off the ground, and you know, you got those lines in it so between the screens, so since it's metal pieces that come together, and the sound they make when they run, and they feel like Titans. But not at the cost of like super clunky control. The missions are great, like I said. There is one mission that involves the manipulation of time. I just said this in my Doctor Strange review, that I have wanted to see in a game for a very long time, and it was awesome. When you're running around on the ground as a pilot and you punch people out of cloak, it feels awesome. Punching people makes this cool ass sound, and you kill them in one hit and they go flying. It feels very good. One nice thing about the options too is you can turn off the sprint bob. So you know, like when you're running back and forth, the camera will kind of do this a little. You can turn that off and just have it go like that, which is a very nice option for people who get, you know, sick and stuff. Another downside I'd say to the campaign is that BT is always like, oh, this is what we gotta do, marking your HUD, and he does a colossally shitty job of marking your HUD. He'll have like the objective markers are like a line, and they point to off screen, and then you turn there, and by the time you turn there, it's gone, and you have to tap the objective button again to get it to show up. It is very hard to follow, and it's just stupid. That's a relatively small gripe though. The Titan executions too are brutal. They are awesome. It feels like you're in a Transformers movie just beating the shit out of these other giant robots. The Titan combat really is very good. I'll talk about that more in a bit with multiplayer. Aiming and the controls are very smooth. Essentially, it is Call of Duty. It takes Call of Duty's sprinty wall running, well, not wall running because Titanfall did the wall running first, but it takes the sprinty, lock-on, fast, snappy shooting and just adds robots and adds a well-designed campaign to it, really. And if this game were this year's Call of Duty, people would love it, and they would buy it in spades. They'd be like, this is the innovation we needed. I bet Activision's feeling a bit regretful about treating all those Modern Warfare 2 employees like shit. The graphics themselves, the environments are nicely designed. There's a lot of trees and colors in it, which is nice, instead of all this future bullshit that's just got all this, you know, mechanic future. I like to see the environment. I like to see nature in the game, so it's nice to see that. Even though the graphics themselves are not top-notch. This is a clearly lower budget game. This does not have as much money behind it as, say, Call of Duty or Battlefield did. But the popping was minimal, the load times were nice and short. The cloak effect is kind of lazy and half-assed. Normally when there's a cloak in a game, they like have this sweet-looking mirror effect on the gun that like bends the light around it, like in Deus Ex or Crysis. But all it does is kind of shade it in and dull gray, and it looks like one like silhouette, and it's kind of eh. I wasn't a big fan of the last mission in the campaign because it's just like wave after wave of enemy, and there's a lot of shaking and a lot of like explosions, and it's kind of confusing, and it kind of sacrifices that good mission design for big spectacle set piece, and that was kind of disappointing. But up until that, very, very solid campaign. The music, too, it's got this kind of John Williams, like, war movie, like, triumphant brass kind of mellow score. Moving on to the multiplayer. I tried every mode that I could, you know, with the low-ass player base that there is. I couldn't even find to capture the flag match because no one is playing it. So you try all the modes, and then you gotta stick with Last Titan Standing. That's really the only mode that's worth playing because it's about, the game's about the Titan and pilot thing together. So you can leave your Titan to get batteries and do stuff and come back in it as the Titan is a tool, whereas the other, sometimes it's just like Call of Duty shooting, and I like to have the Titan. So that's the mode I played the most because I like the Titan on Titan gameplay. That is spectacular. That is so much fun. You know, if this were Call of Duty, all the Titan abilities would just be different kill streaks in different ways. You can blow them up with lasers, blow them up with rockets, blow them up with explosions, blow them up with fire, and blow them up in every way. The Titan abilities are very, very gameplay depth conscious. You can cut off choke points by dropping little tripwires that damage enemies. You have a shield that absorbs certain kinds of bullets, and you gotta aim it and throw it back. There are different ways to move around in the Titans, which is all, it's very, very well balanced. And one negative I'd say is that it is class-based, and I see why they did it. It was probably for a balance reason. You gotta have every Titan be a class, because this ability would be too OP. But I personally would have liked to see more customization in the Titans, where you can pick each ability individually instead of a class. It's like, I want this Titan's gun, but I want this Titan's ability. You can't do that. And like I said, I get why. Something that would have been nice is some kind of Titan cloaking, because all the players can cloak, but if you can cloak the Titan, that'd be cool. Obviously, you balance it so it's not OP. Maybe only when they stand still, so you're waiting for a Titan to go by, then, ha! I gotcha! There's one Titan that's called Ronin, like the Japanese samurai, and it's got a sword, and that thing is so cool. But he is the only Titan with a melee option. All the other ones just kind of punch him in the face. So it'd be nice to see more customization in melee options for Ronin, even if it's only cosmetic. If like, hey, instead of a sword, I'd like an axe or a chainsaw. Occasionally in the multiplayer maps, you can't duck where you should be able to duck. Now the maps are designed to accommodate Titans and players. They're supposed to be places only players can go, like, say, to get a battery. So there's this mechanic where, so you can take a battery from the map, there are batteries just lying on the map, so you have to get out of your Titan, go grab a battery, and then come back and put it in your Titan. Or you can take a battery from another Titan if you jump on top and you pull it out, and then you can come bring it back to your own Titan. Or if you don't have a Titan, you can put it in a friendly Titan. And that is a brilliant mechanic. Only problem is, it's so weak. It restores like 1/2 of one life cell, and if you're the smallest Titan, so the Titans have either 3, 4, or 5 health bars. So the biggest one that's restoring 10% of his health. For this huge risky maneuver to go get a battery, I don't think that's worth it. I think it needs to be 20, 25 at least. And the other problem is that nobody ever does it. These dumbass player base is retarded. All 6 of them. It's like I'm the only Titan left, and there's pilots like, oh, we lost our Titans, so I guess we'll just go jerk off in the back of the map. It's like, give me some batteries! What is nice, though, is that all the cars and cement blocks and stuff on the ground, you can walk clean over them. That would have been a nightmare if it made us walk around it and if cars stopped you. Thankfully, you can just walk over that and it doesn't impact your movement at all, so thank God for that. I also think all Titans shouldn't have an anti-rhodium measure. So all that does is discourage players from trying to grab enemy batteries. So every Titan has, oh, there's a player detected on top of you. Quick, use your smoke screen electric anti-player attack thing, and it just kills the player instantly. So the only way you can steal a battery is if they just used theirs and they're out of it, or they're paying no attention whatsoever. But this battery mechanic is so good, but they didn't capitalize it like they should have. So I'm saying all Titans shouldn't have that. Then it would be teamwork based. It'd be, hey, 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 shoot the... It'd be like, hey, 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 shoot the pilot off of me because I don't have an electric smoke countermeasure. And then to be like, oh yeah, boost. So then that would encourage more teamwork. This game tries to focus on teamwork with having players go get batteries, and it's got good ideas, but it doesn't capitalize on them like it should. The map design itself is very good too. So if you're outnumbered by a Titan, you're like, oh crap, I got 3 Titans, I can't tell one. And your Titan will tell you that. It's like, you are outnumbered 3 to 1. recommend you run away. So I was like backing away from Titans, and then they surrounded me, and I ended up backed into a corner because they used the map cleverly. So that was well done. They deserved that win. But you got to use the abilities too. I constantly forget about the tripwire. Tripwire will save your life if you use it correctly. But the addition of a dodge, of a sidestep mechanic that the Titans had adds so much to this game. You can use it to quickly move to a location, or you can use it to dodge missiles. Gunfire and bullets travel pretty much instantly, but there are some very heavy attacks that have travel time, and you can dodge out of those if you use them correctly, or you can catch them with a shield and throw them back. The Titan v Titan combat is exceptional, and that is what makes the game so damn fun and replayable. And also, sometimes you gotta make the call whether or not to abandon your Titans. Like, I don't want to lose the Titan, but if I lose the Titan, it might save my own life. So you gotta eject, blow up the Titan, and then you can maybe go help the other Titans. I fail at that pretty bad sometimes. Like, I'm not ejecting. Do you have any idea how expensive these Titans are? I'm not ejecting. Ejecting is for pussies. I should have ejected. One last big gripe I have is the auto Titan. I constantly trying to use the battery mechanic because it's such a good idea. So what I do is I go back and I park my Titan in a safe spot, I jump out and I go to run a battery, and then I come back and it's on fire and surrounded by Titans. I'm like, what are you doing? So auto Titan is retarded. So the Titan will kind of go back and join the fight. Sometimes they'll kind of follow you, and sometimes they'll stand still. So that's stupid. You should be able to give your Titan the command in autopilot, say, hey, either stay still where you are, don't move, or go help the nearest Titans with their fighting. What would also be nice is if you have a friendly Titan who's at super low health and there aren't any batteries on the map, if you can lend him one of your batteries, that would be super cool. Encourage teamwork, encourage teamwork. So those are my ideas to improve an already very, very good game. Then the problem is, unfortunately, that EA has used this game as a pawn in its fight to destroy Infinite Warfare. Because, you know, Battlefield 1 came out a week ago, and then they're releasing Titanfall 2, and initially that makes no sense. It's like, EA, why would you release two so similar games near each other as shooters? Aren't you just going to compete with yourself? And the answer is yes. So on the surface, it seems like a terrible idea, but EA's got the strategy. What they're trying to do is kill Infinite Warfare. They don't actually care about sales numbers for themselves. They're just trying to make Call of Duty look really bad. I guess it's for investors. Then we can say, hey, we have dethroned the top shooter of the year, and now Battlefield 1 was most successful. I don't know. It doesn't appear to be working, though, because poor Titanfall is a better game than Battlefield 1. The poor people who made it, their game gets to be sold to, like, nobody. On launch day, I had trouble getting into matches, and that is not good, man. This game was not advertised at all. The marketing was so shitty. EA really just kind of chose to push Battlefield 1 and threw out Titanfall 2 kind of like a fart in the wind, and that's a damn shame. So we'll see now that Infinite Warfare has dropped how the shooter holiday season will play out. And I had to return Titanfall 2 to Family Video because I have to move on to other games, and there goes like 4% of the player base from me returning the game. That's such a shame. This is one game I would actually recommend you buy at full price right now, simply because it needs the support, and hopefully, since its multiplayer is more in-depth, it's more complex, hopefully it'll hold its audience longer. So the few people who did buy it hopefully will want to keep playing it so the multiplayer doesn't die off it, and then maybe soon we'll see a price drop, and that'll help spike sales and kind of kickstart the multiplayer community. I really don't want this game to die. Titanfall 2 is just a hair short of an 8. If the battery mechanic worked as well as it should, it'd be an easy 8.
The frontier is worth every part of this fight.
Yeah, that was just as annoying the first 76 times.
The frontier is worth every part of this fight. Follow me. Here we go. Get ready, pilot. Going up.
Huh, must have been hard to fit a kitchen in that Titan. Oh yeah, and also, we're fucked!